Dr. Y.K. Hamied. Dr. Y.K. Hamied is the non-executive chairman of Cipla and represents the second generation of Cipla's founding family. A world-renowned scientist, he obtained his PhD in organic chemistry in 1960 from the University of Cambridge under the guardianship of the Nobel laureate Lord Alexander Todd. He became the managing director of Cipla in the year 1976 and later went on to become the chairman of the company in 1989. He retired as managing director of the company in March 2013 and has continued to be chairman in a non-executive role. Dr. Hamied is an insightful R&D leader, a courageous industry captain, and an outspoken statesman of global pharmacy. From affordable drugs in HIV to enabling one of the world's largest portfolio of drugs and devices in inhalation therapy, his work and contribution to healthcare have been celebrated around the world. Dr. Y.K. Hamied was awarded the Padma Bhushan for his distinguished service to the pharmaceutical industry in 2005. He was honored by NDTV as one of India's 25 greatest global living legends in the year 2013 and was conferred with DSE by University of Cambridge in 2014. Dr. Hamied is an honorary fellow of Royal Society of Chemistry. He has been recipient of several Lifetime Achievement Awards and is a prominent panelist in international healthcare forums. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for this captain of the industry at IMA Conclave 2019. We welcome you, sir.
There's too much noise in the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, respected Professor Mushal, Chairman Rathi, President Mohan, Shri Kirloskar, and the absent Shrimati Irani. I feel truly privileged and deeply touched by the recognition given to me today, most unexpectedly, by one of India's leading educational associations, the IMA. I humbly accept this award, which is due to the support and trust of many who have made this possible. My family, my teachers, past and present colleagues in my company Cipla, as also many friends who have shared in my life's journey. The setting up in India of teaching institutions, and I'm told there are 78 management institutions in Indore city alone, and institutions such as IIM has truly transformed education in our country. Education is essential, and for this there is no compromise. I strongly believe that implementation of one's knowledge, specifically in the areas where one has expertise, is essential. This can only lead to a dramatic transformation in our lives, in our industries, in our businesses. We can truly be proud that the majority of our students, many present here today, are respected globally, not only for their intelligence, but also for their dedication, competence, integrity, and reliability. Swami Vivekananda quoted that wisdom lies not in the amount of knowledge acquired, but in the degree of its application. A lot of the students here have to consider very seriously at some stage during your student days the transformation from academia to entering the mainstream of your lives. If anything is important, as was mentioned earlier, it is the future. The past is gone forever, and the present only exists as a fleeting moment. Everything that we do from now onwards can only affect the future. With growing complexities, increasing population, poverty, disease, crime, drugs, racial disparity, political and economic upheavals, it becomes extremely difficult to make rational decisions required for charting out one's own future. However, this needs to be done and done objectively. Any significant aspect of your life is directly influenced by the opportunities you choose to pursue. Your decisions ultimately decide your own destiny. And hence, it is very important for you students to choose correctly, wisely, judiciously, with foresight and direction. I would like to suggest 3 matters for you. 1, enthusiasm, the feeling that what one is doing in life is what matters. Imagination, the feeling and the quality that differentiates individuals and people. And lastly, you all must have vision. And this vision is to anticipate, to predict the best opportunities for your progress in life. Success is not a destination to be reached. It is the quality of the journey. Success does not depend at being at the right place at the right time. Success depends on always being ready. I was presented a theme paper by IMA covering the 4th Industrial Revolution, and we just heard Mr. Kirloskar making a wonderful presentation to us, and that was rethink, redesign, rebuild. I have added one more, and that is repurpose, or if you like to use the word reposition. And this means incremental innovation in products and processes that are already known and established. And this is something to the multitude of people from industry here. Please focus more and more on repurposing and repositioning. The theme paper covers newer technologies that are entering rapidly into industry and businesses. In healthcare alone, 5 such technologies are already being closely followed. 3D, artificial intelligence, digitalization, automation, and continuous manufacture. I gave this subject and this theme due consideration, but have left this subject for the debate that is due to be following this session, and we will discuss it more during the conclave. In the context of technology in India, what we require is appropriate technology. This appropriate technology should be scientifically sound, relevant, adaptable to local needs, and the use of available resources. It is an adaptation of what Mahatma Gandhi once preached: self-reliance and self-sufficiency. Gentlemen, I belong to an older generation. It is the past that can predict the future. We all must learn from our past experiences, from our past mistakes, past missed opportunities and challenges. There are many lessons to be learned from the past so that future generations are ready to handle complex problems that they will face in life. Essentially, I'm a scientist. Chemistry is in my genes. I have only experience in pharmaceuticals, medicines, and healthcare. And the management of this, we have to combine business with a humanitarian responsibility. Our pharma industry's role is in saving and improving quality of lives. We are the custodians of healthcare, and this is a major responsibility. Both myself and my company Cipla follow this principle very closely. We strongly believe that access to medicines at affordable prices is a fundamental human right, and that none should be denied medication. Healthcare, however, is different from other industries for two major reasons. Firstly, monopoly arising out of intellectual property rights. This gives exclusivity to the inventor. Secondly, the high rate of obsolescence in the drug industry. Newer medications, therefore, have to be continuously innovated to enable long-term progress. The global pharma industry approach is therefore to concentrate and focus mainly on introduction of newer drugs, future pipeline, R&D, and innovation. Within this framework, we have to consider the adaptation of technologies that can dramatically improve and facilitate healthcare in India. It is sad, and I see a number of pharma people in the audience, that in this area of advancement of science, our pharma industry lags behind the developing world, or the developed world. India, therefore, should first prioritize current issues that are somewhat neglected. These fall into two categories. Initially, we have to look at climate change, power supply, as over 500 million Indians live their lives with no electricity. Sanitation, where over 800 million of our citizens have no adequate facilities. Management of water, pollution, malnutrition, and aging population leading to senile dementia, antimicrobial resistance. It is all important that the government and ourselves form policies and strategies and formulate decisions to cover our present basic needs. We also need to examine the widespread pattern of major diseases. This is very important. Health in India has always been in crisis. The disease prevalence in India is frightening. 225 million cardiac patients, 100 million asthmatics, 65 million diabetics, over 100 million mentally ill cases, over 50 million hepatitis cases, over 100 million cases with skin ailments, and 1 in 3 Indians is a silent carrier of TB. Cancer in India has suddenly become of major concern. It is therefore of the utmost importance that all of us here take the Indian pharma industry, the indigenous industry, into confidence to secure the people's right to access affordable quality medication. On a brighter note, however, you all will be happy to know that today India is regarded as the pharmacy capital of the world. The Indian pharma industry is valued at $33 billion in the year 2017, and we are due to reach the figure of $50 billion by 2020. What is more interesting is that India today supplies 10% by value and 30% by volume of all the generic drugs globally. 50% of India's pharma production is exported to over 150 countries, and this is expected to exceed $20 billion by 2020. India supplies well over 80% by volume of all the HIV/AIDS drugs internationally. Our industry has over 540 US FDA-approved factories in India. And India today is the second largest generic drug, approved generic drugs in America, in the world. However, on a sad note, there are 7 billion people living on our planet, of which 6.2 billion live in the emerging and developing markets world. Healthcare is only guaranteed to 10% of the world's population. 1/3 of the world does not have access to even basic medicines. In Asia and Africa, this goes up to 50%. The right to live should not be contingent on the ability to treat. We need to provide essential, affordable drugs to safeguard a stable and healthy environment, not only in India, but wherever needed in the emerging world. The divide in healthcare between the developing and the developed world is immense. North versus South. A recent 2016 UN report on access to health gives a simple and yet powerful message, which I'd like to share with you. No one should suffer because they cannot afford medicines, diagnostics, medical devices, or vaccines. The report also says, and which is important in the context of India, that all countries should formulate their own national legislation on healthcare to suit the specific needs of their country. In my opinion, in India, this should be done irrespective of the dictates of other countries. Somehow we in India try to follow what the Americans say or the British say or the Europeans say. I think it's about time we Indians decide for our country our own destiny. Now, the scenario that I've painted and brought before you should concern all of us. Medical science is rapidly shifting not only from chemistry to biology, but also making use of newer, advanced technologies. These technologies are already revolutionizing health practices in India as well. There is no alternative but to implement these. But at the same time, and side by side, we should not forget our current capabilities and priorities. I strongly feel that the government and the indigenous pharma industry should take steps to assure that our population is basically healthy. We want all our countrymen to have access to quality health care and medication so that they can lead productive lives and thereby promote the well-being of our nation. Let us therefore work together to solve healthcare issues and simultaneously use modern technologies that we will discuss later today. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, prior to our independence, there was a burning spirit of patriotism, unity, and a sense of purpose. Perhaps this is now taking a back seat, but I would strongly urge you that what we require now is another national objective, a dream in which every Indian citizen can lead a decent quality of life. As the educated elite of our country, all of us here should pledge our fullest cooperation and support to fulfill the task of prioritizing health care and side by side adopt newer technologies to facilitate this so that we are then accountable to our future generations. The future generations should not look back and accuse us for not doing what our conscience demands. Thank you.